Hello everybody, it's Dersh here, and this is just a little video to go over what's still viable and what's not with the builds I've made, as well as what I'm starting with in the Essence League. So I woke up today ready to do this, and I was hit with this guy over here. It's great. It should have happened, but the timing is impeccable. Thank you, GGG. So a few hours before. All right, whatever. So this hits the RoA Trapper immensely. And you're gonna see if it works or not in just a little bit, but I think it's still gonna be okay. So let's talk about the Permastun crit EQ guy first. So we got some damage nerfs on EQ, as well as some AoE nerfs over here. This isn't that big of a deal. This, because, well, when I was using a series of QED, I switched to Doriani's Catalyst instead of Breath of the Council for the attack speed, and I was still stunning tier 15 mobs, or bosses even, and that does about half per hit as Breath of the Council did. So you're okay with the stunning. The stunning's not a problem. The AoE, whatever, it's little tiny shit. That's not an issue. The build is still very viable offensively. It's defensively where we got absolutely shat on. So we used to have a 100% chance to get maximum endurance charges when we gained any. Now we have only a 25% chacny of getting the endurance charges instead. That's a huge hit. It makes it very difficult to play around Abyssus node. This is still very important. This node is still really good. And for clearing maps, you're still going to have it up pretty much all the time. You can have Immortal Call up, but for bosses, I wouldn't use Immortal Call anymore. I would instead just try to keep up all my endurance charges with Enduring Cry. It's gonna suck. The boss fights are gonna get shit on, right? It's doable, but you have to have a lot of armor and have your endurance charges up, and don't use Immortal Call for bosses. So before we didn't care about armor, but now we are going to have to get Unbreakable and get some very heavy armor. Have like 50, 55, 60% with your flasks up. And then on top of that, use the endurance charges to essentially negate Abyssus and have high physical damage mitigation. If you do that, you should be okay. I wouldn't do this build with Abyssus anymore because it was a boss killer for me. I just shat on everything, and now it's a lot more dangerous. You have to play around stuff as opposed to mindlessly just slamming away at something. So yeah, it's viable. I wouldn't play the build anymore. So on the Blast Rain Trapper, nothing's really been touched. He's still just as viable as he ever was. Very powerful, very good for starting a league with, actually, because really the only thing you need is Chin Soul and Deerstalkers, which are very cheap, even early in the league. The only hit is that trap damage only affects the hit and not damage over time, but this isn't inherently a damage over time build anyways. There's a little bit of burn, but that's not where all of the damage comes from. It's from the actual hit. So this is pretty much as dangerous as it's always been, and I would use it. If you're interested in it, there's a link to the build guide below. I just tried the RoA Trapper. Atlas of Worlds just went live, and it still works. I just did a shrine map, no changes, didn't reset my skill tree, nothing, just went in there, and one set of the 3 traps downed Piety in like a second. So yeah. Didn't really do anything. It's still really powerful, and if you want to use it, go for it. The Blast Rain Trapper, I mean, it brought it more in line with the Blast Rain Trapper, but it's still extremely powerful. So is the Blast Rain Trapper. Pick your poison. Or really, pick poison or elemental. Whatever you want, they both work. So, in the Essence League, I'm going to be starting with a Fireball Burn build. Fireball had a pretty nice jump in damage. It went, like, I think 50% more at max level. For those that don't know, this is a buff. And, yeah, so I'm going to be using that. It has about 1,500 average damage per fireball with no adjustments. We're going to have a 100% chance to ignite without crit through Moku's Embrace. This new item, Eye of Innocence, which is probably going to be expensive, but I'm not going to use this till the end anyways. It's going to be very powerful all the way throughout the game. And Realm Ender, or any +3, as well as the Rolling Flames Jewels. We're using 2 of them. And the 2 are located here, which has more than 50 allocated, and here. On top of that, we have, I think, about 767% increased damage essentially for Fireball in total, and that most of that double dips. Pretty much all of it, just a little tiny bit doesn't. Now, what you're going to end up with, so we're going to use Empower. This is with a 5-link setup. Empower, Fireball, Power level 3. I'm not going to afford level 4. Fireball, Fork, because Fireball will hit, explode, Fork, and then 2 will explode. It works really well with Fork. And Fire Penetration, and increased AoE or Conk effect, depending on single target or not. And you'll also switch out Fork for slower projectiles for single target. So essentially what you're going to get is about 38,000 damage per Fireball. And when we're ignited, we have 40% increased cast speed, as well as a huge amount of leech, 2%. So that's all taken care of. We ignite ourselves pretty much all the time because we have 100% chance to ignite on every hit. And we ignite ourselves 50% of the time. So it's going to be pretty good. Damage-wise, for the Fireballs, you have that. And for the Burn, you're going to have about 50,000 per second AoE. So it's going to be really powerful for AoE clear. And for single target, it's explosive. You're going to have between 500 and 700,000 fire damage per second, assuming they don't have any resistances. If they do, it's going to go down, but that's still absurd, right? It's a huge amount of damage, and that's with a 5-link setup. With the 6-link, you're going to use Spell Echo, and you're going to lose a bit of the burn and a bit of per Fireball damage, but you're going to gain a lot of DPS on your Fireball itself. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions about it, let me know. I don't know if it's going to work yet, I guess. I think it's going to work. The damage seems pretty good, so we'll see. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I will see you in the game, and if you have any questions, again, let me know. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, stay tuned. I'm going to have quite a few builds coming for Atlas of Worlds, so it's pretty exciting. As always, thanks for watching, and enjoy Atlas of Worlds.